they moved that sign. It used to be over here on the other side of the mall. I really don't do videos, or take pictures, but this is something you just gotta see to believe, man. Like, it's hard for me to get it at every moment because I'll be walking around like a damn videographer, taking pictures and making videos and shit. But I'm in the mall now in Honolulu, whatever. Man, I swear they got 1,000 motherfucking everything. Spies, cops, undercover cops, whatever you can name, man. It's fucking ridiculous. I think George Floyd changed all this shit while they doing all this. Cause this gonna take a long time to explain. It took me a long time to figure this out. Some people might know what's going on. They could put 2 and 2 together, but I'm pretty sure the average person don't know. Like, the past couple years before COVID, whatever, I remember motherfuckers just getting killed left and right by cops. Like, oh, some black guy got killed by a cop or whatever. And that shit was like every day. And then George Floyd happened, and then that changed everything. All this protest and all this shit. So now these motherfuckers fucking with me. You know, no surprise. Black motherfuckers always been a target and getting harassed and shit like that. Everybody know that, you know, it's well documented. But I was trying to figure out, like, what the fuck? I just buy pussy from prostitutes. I ain't pimping. I ain't robbing motherfuckers or no shit like that. I don't even mess with, like, regular ladies, really. I really only fuck with strippers and prostitutes, right? So for a long time, I was thinking, like, some white motherfucker mad that I'm getting white pussy. Yeah, it's a bunch of niggas buying pussy from white hoes, you know. And then I had suspicions about different things. I couldn't put 2 and 2 together, but it just was like, it just hit me like a light bulb all of a sudden, man. See, these motherfuckers, this shit been going on forever too, way before me. You know, so these motherfuckers do hits on niggas, right? We all know that niggas been get killed by cops and shit like that, but don't too many people understand the spy world, you know, because you always have spies, even when cops is doing all the shit. So I always remember seeing on TV, you hear like these Jamaicans and Haitians talking shit like, oh, niggas is lazy, and just talking shit about like African Americans, whatever. Now, I never really thought much about it. I didn't give a fuck what they was talking about, you know. But it's like I noticed that a lot of them is spies, you know. So I'm sure a lot of them put hits on niggas or assisted, you know, doing, you know, spying and fucking doing lookouts and shit like that. They don't give a fuck. They like mercenaries, you know. They come here poor as hell to America, and they just doing whatever to get some money, and then they get a pass just to do a little hit on some nigga or whatever, right? So with me, like, I was in the Army, like, I was in Hawaii in 2012, so I've been here before. I know the scene, I know it looks totally different now than what it was before. Like, used to be hoes out here selling pussy. It's way different now after COVID, you know. A lot of stuff slowed down or got closed down. A lot of the spies closed down. So it's just different now. It's still hoes out here, but not like it used to be, like just hundreds of hoes and spies and all that. So motherfuckers just ain't getting money like that around here, like just throwing around money. So just like anywhere in the hood or anywhere, you know, when motherfuckers broke, they gonna do whatever they gotta do. You know, I understand that, you know. I ain't mad at nobody for doing whatever. So I got out in 2014 for buying pussy from trying to buy pussy from a hoe. It was an undercover cop or whatever. So I ain't think nothing of it at the time, you know. Whatever, I got out, went back to Detroit, and I never really hung around all this shit. I was just buying pussy when I was out here. Like, I wasn't even like partying and doing all that shit. I'll go to the strip club, go to the spas, go see some hoes. You know, that's what I was into, man. So this like kind of new to me, hanging around little clubs and shit like that. It's just one spot I bought pussy from, but I went back and the lady told me, there's nobody available. There's only one hoe working, which is crazy, you know. Most spas, they're gonna have at least 2 or 3 hoes working, but they got one hoe working, so that just shows how slow it is, you know. It's probably a few other ones that's got some hoes, but they older. And this one hoe told me that. She told me when I left in 2014, she was like, it slowed down way back then. Not just recently, but way back, you know, where it's just older hoes working in the spas and all that shit. So, whatever, right? That's what I've been doing, buying pussy all these years, whatever. You know, never really had no major problems or nothing like that. So I get out, and I've been on the surveillance since then. I didn't realize it though, you know, because I know when I went to like El Paso and Vegas and all this shit, all these weird motherfuckers would pop up out the blue. Like now it's more obvious because they're more aggressive. Like when I was in Denver, this white lady, she was talking to this other white lady. She was like, yeah, he too aggressive. The agent, whatever. So this how I figured it out. It's probably the same motherfucker who's been on the case since 2014 when I got out, whatever. So whoever this motherfucker is, or this team, whoever the fuck they are, been watching me since 2014, right? All the way up until now. Same people, right? Doing a investigation. That's how it is for like federal investigations. They might take 5, 10, 15 years, 11 years, you know, whatever like that. I think it's been like 11 years they've been doing mine, whatever, something like that. But so all these years I've been getting pussy, buying pussy, going to different cities, fucking different hoes and strippers and all that. So motherfucker gonna get tired of that after a while, you know. Following some nigga around, buying pussy. I noticed that, man. As soon as I start talking about sex, motherfuckers just get away from me. They don't even bother me no more, you know. And they get all mad and shit. Even when I was listening to like Alan Roger Curry, and he was just talking about dating and shit, and then they would get mad about that shit, you know. Because that's when I was in Phoenix. I could hear him through the wall and shit. So I'll play like Alan Roger Curry, and he'd be talking about sexuality and dating and or whatever, and then the motherfuckers get all mad. You know, I can hear him like huffing and puffing and talking all type of silly ass dumb shit next door. Even when I was in Seattle buying pussy, this motherfucker knocked on the fucking wall next to me, you know. So these motherfuckers been watching me, following me around all these years, right? And I guess they just tired of it. See, the reason they was probably doing that, I'm guessing, is because when I was in the Army, I had a secret clearance. So, you know, I could see, like, it wasn't top secret, though, so I ain't look at personal people's shit. But I was a paralegal, so I know a few people got in trouble. And this one motherfucker was a spy with the Chinese and shit like that. So I know a few little things that went on. So, like, I had access to, like, different files and shit like that, right? So, I guess they was watching me to make sure I wasn't passing on those secrets. Because I'm a nigga, right? So you can't trust no nigga. So they probably was, like, making sure I wasn't passing no secrets on or nothing, no personal information about operations, whatever type of shit like that, right? So I get it, you know. It's just a security thing. I get it. So they just watching me for that, but I'm just buying pussy, right? So they follow me around all over. I'm going to Paso, wherever, Vegas, wherever, buying pussy, all that. So after a while, motherfucker get tired of that, just following nigga around. Fucking hoes buying pussy and all that, for years, different hoes, Latinas, white hoes, all these different hoes. So motherfuckers don't get tired of that, right? So fast forward to now, I'm thinking it's because of this one hoe in Vegas, that's like the cherry on top. Because usually with these white hoes, man, when they fuck with pimps, they'll turn them in. They'll be like, okay, yeah, he was pimping. Then the nigga go to jail for 20 years or some shit like that. With me, it was a little different. I was like the Al Capone and pimping, man. Al Capone, they couldn't prove he was with the mob, Everybody know Al Capone was the mob, but he couldn't prove it. So with me, everybody know I fuck with hoes. I don't fucked with hoes that was selling pussy. That one white hoe in Vegas and some other hoes, but they can't prove it. Because you gotta take the money from the hoe. Like, they tried to set me up one time. I knew they did, but I ain't think nothing of it. I ain't really give a fuck at the time. Because I came in the hotel and this hoe had $500 on the table. I came in the hotel room, this hoe had like $500 on the table. And she had it laid out bill by bill, like separated. It wasn't like a stack of money, it was just like each individual bill was spread out on the table. And it was like all neat, all the bills were in order and all that shit. Hoes don't pay no pimp like that, man. They're not gonna separate each bill and put it laid out like a photograph or some shit like that. They're just gonna put it in a stack and put it on the table, like that, whatever. So she had it laid out like that, like, cause they'll mark money. So if I would have took it, they could have said, oh, she paid me and, I had some marked money or some bullshit like that, But I met her buying pussy, so it wasn't like I was trying to fuck with her like that, But still, they tried to do a sting on me or whatever, I can't prove all this shit, but I just know, they do little slick shit, man. Any criminal know, a good criminal know how to do little slick shit and hide your hand and whatever like that, man. Once you just been around that shit, you just know when somebody trying to do some underhanded shit or some behind the back shit and, throw a stone, hide their hand, be little slick shit, whatever. So I'm fucking this white hoe, man, in Vegas. So after all that, because I heard these white motherfuckers mention the shit over and over, like, oh, he was pimping her, whatever. So this is like the cherry on top. They followed me all these years, nothing. I'm buying pussy, fucking hoes, whatever. But I was reading like pimp books and all that shit too, so I guess they thought I was trying to pimp. I was really just trying to understand hoes with situations or whatever like that. So, they try and set it up with that little white hoe. So the little 500, that's the dumb thing about it. They could have let that hoe get like 100,000. Because she was selling pussy for years, They could have let her get that much and then tried to set me up with that and trying to set me up with some little 500 bullshit dollars, But, these motherfuckers is impatient. But they ain't had to deal with me for years, so they might as well have took their time. But, these motherfuckers just stupid, impatient, be drunk and high and shit like that. So they don't really be thinking shit through, So this the cherry on top. Most hoes, white hoes, are going to be like, yeah, this nigga was pimping, put him in jail, whatever, little bullshit like that. With me, you forget about all that shit. This is a white hoe. And I heard these spies talking about this white lady. She's talking to this other lady, and she's like, yeah, she denied it because they interrogated her and interviewed her and all this shit. And it was like, And she denied it. She's like, no, he wasn't no pimp, whatever like that. You know, because they always ask the lady, you know, they don't just go off if a nigga got some money, because they got to use the hoe as a witness, whatever. So with me and her, we was just cool. We was just fucking or whatever. So I really wasn't, you know, it wasn't like she was lying or nothing like that. So, you know, they still trying to frame me. They've been doing that shit since the 1960s. Some nigga get some white pussy, and they'll tell the white lady to say the nigga lie and say the nigga raped her. Even with that Emmett Till shit, the white lady, once she turned 90 years old, she admitted she lied about Emmett Till, you know. So they always been doing that shit, man. They'll get the white lady to lie on the nigga, but that shit ain't work with me, you know. But usually, you know, the white lady would go along with it and just lie and whatever the fuck. So this is the cherry on top. After all these years, fucking, I've been fucking white hoes, getting white pussy, Latinas, Asians, all buying pussy all over the country, different cities or whatever. And different hoes don't like me, and I could have fucked with different hoes, but it was just this one, this particular situation, right? So, cause I remember we was in a Walmart and this white guy walked past. He was all mad and shit, cause me and Brittany was in a Walmart, you know. And he is one of them spies. I could tell, man. They look a certain way, they dress a certain way and shit like that. So this white hoe selling pussy. I had the apartment and everything in my name, and they ain't charging with the shit, you know. So they mad about that. On top of all the other little shit, you know. And then to top all that off, the hoe mad at these motherfuckers fucking with me. You know, when I was in Phoenix, man, he's this silly ass spy. He was like, oh, he's a pimp, you know. Because they just keep trying to put that shit on me, or I was pimp, whatever. So I heard him in Phoenix in a motel. And he was like, oh, and the white lady was like, he ain't no pimp, quit lying. You shut up and go to your room. You know, she didn't say them exact words, but it's something like that, you know. Told him to shut up, quit lying, go to your room, I gotta write this report, or whatever, you know. Imagine a white motherfucker, a white lady saying some white motherfucker some shit like that about a nigga. When usually, you know, they'll just frame a nigga and the white lady would go along with their bullshit, whatever. You can just imagine how mad they'll be, you know, on top of all that shit, you know. And all this time, I'm still getting pussy, buying hoes, getting pussy, whatever. So I can see why motherfuckers all mad, you know. That's like the cherry on top. Because that's like a traitor, you know. You ain't supposed to side with the nigga, you know. You're supposed to frame him or lie or whatever, you know. So they couldn't get me with that little sex bullshit. I ain't, you know, none of that harassment. I've been buying pussy from hoes. Ain't no harassment. I gave them the money. Everybody know what it is. You give a hoe some money or escort some money, you know. So they can't come up with that bullshit either. Right. So now these motherfuckers just throwing shit on the wall, see what sticks, you know. Say I'm crazy or whatever the fuck, you know. Have 1,000 motherfuckers follow me around, all this bullshit. Everybody knows those motherfuckers lying and just making up bullshit at this point. It's a fucking joke, man. Because I've been out here buying pussy the past 9 months. Just fucking different hoes, different white hoes mostly. And one Asian, one Latina, or whatever, you know. Like I always been doing, going to different cities buying pussy. And that's what I thought they was mad about, just me buying pussy, that's it, nah. Or that white hoe not framing me, nah, that ain't it either. This was why they got 1,000 motherfuckers on me. So I've been through this shit for years. They do the same shit over and over. Every city they do the same shit, you know. Detroit, Dallas, Phoenix, Vegas, here, Seattle. Everywhere I go, these motherfuckers do the same shit, you know. So what it is, they got these old silly ass niggas. Like, it's mostly like Haitians and Jamaicans, you know. It's kind of like a little ghetto hit squad, or what you want to call it, like that. You know, look out, you know, they're like a team, whatever, This shit well documented, man. Motherfuckers been putting hits on niggas. It was just in the news, like this year in Detroit, some lady put a hit on her son, and that shit happen all the time, man. Motherfuckers set their people up to get killed and all this shit. So you got motherfuckers doing hits and killing motherfuckers, getting their life insurance, whatever the fuck like that, right? No big deal, for a ghetto nigga in the hood. Nobody give a fuck, there's some other nigga, ghetto nigga dead, right? So try to do the same shit with me. I went back to Detroit and all these different cities. Man, these niggas is like silly, man. They be drunk and high, and they're like fucking wild dogs, like wild animals and shit. They just do shit that don't make no goddamn sense. I can go on and on about that, the shit I seen these motherfuckers do. So coming out here, same thing, man. Even these white guys had to admit, like, man, these motherfuckers doing way too much. One white guy was like, man, why they bring these fucking animals out here, These silly ass niggas, they work in the hood and they hit niggas off, not out, on some tropical place, shit like they don't work out here, So, well, not until now, but it ain't like in Florida where you can just shoot nigga in the middle of the street and shit like that, So, even this white lady, I was in McDonald's, and this white lady, she was talking to this white guy, she was like, I ain't racist, but they did him wrong, So even other motherfuckers admit it. These motherfuckers doing way too much fucking with me, This Korean lady was like, oh, they jealous. And everybody know these motherfuckers just full of shit. Just making up shit to harass me and all this bullshit. And then they'll say some bullshit like, oh, well, why doesn't he stay here or have a place? See, and they like to do this little straw man bullshit, Like, there's a bunch of places I would go get a place, apartment or whatever, house, whatever. But these motherfuckers be coming in, fucking with my shit. Like every hotel I've been to, these motherfuckers be coming in my room. They have motherfuckers sit outside my room and knock on my door in the middle of the night, wake me up, do all this little funny old bullshit, Yeah, these little crackheads doing that shit like that, So if I was like the apartment now, they'd probably be like, they had somebody do a fake police call, and they did that shit when I was in Seattle. It was like I was in the room and the motherfucker security came up with the police. I'm like, what the fuck, It's like, oh yeah, we got a call. There's something going on, so you had to call the fucking police, So they try to frame me and set me up. It's obvious, the little bullshit they've been doing, because they try to frame me a certain way, like they don't want to just admit they just don't like niggas, even though everybody know it, But they want to seem like, oh, they got a reason, But they doing way too much. Like, you don't use no RICO for no nigga that buy pussy. Maybe a pimp, but not no nigga that buy pussy, So everybody know these motherfuckers doing way too much. You don't use no federal, and then they use security guards and anything. They just lie, make up any fucking thing, construction workers. Everybody. Anybody could be a fucking spy, And they just all lie and make up shit. And they say, oh, they can say, oh, we seen him do this and say that, Just make a bunch of bullshit to say, oh, we gotta watch him because he might be planning on doing this and that. Man, I've been buying pussy for 20 years, So I'm trying to figure out, like, why the fuck they got, everywhere I go, they got 1,000 motherfuckers following me, even in Denver, So this what it is, man. Like, they got a little hit squad. Because after George Floyd, the cops was quitting, and so they was low on personnel, so they got to hire just little street crackheads. And, like, even here, they brought Filipinos here, illegal immigrants. They did the same thing in Phoenix, brought Brazilians, illegal immigrants. They'll use any fucking body, bring motherfuckers from other countries. When I was, they even brought Australians, Germans, New Zealand. I seen all type of motherfuckers they had working my case, man. It's ridiculous. It's like an international thing, they ain't brought people from Ukraine and all types of shit, so. But I don't be taking pictures every time I see it, because it's just every fucking 5 minutes I have to take a picture and video. It's fucking ridiculous, man. So they have motherfuckers sitting at the bus stop, all types of motherfuckers, crackheads, fine white bitches, fine Asian bitches, old ass Asian bitches, old ass white bitches. I mean, it's fucking ridiculous. I've been here before, so these motherfuckers ain't the type of motherfuckers be riding no goddamn bus, It's funny, but it's just so obvious, But like I said, I was in Phoenix in a motel, so I could hear them talking. I know the little bullshit they be saying. They make up all type of bullshit, man, to keep the case going, I guess you want to call it, or frame me or whatever, So this what it is, man. The motherfucker doing the case, the hit, if he don't do the job, he gonna be useless, because they're gonna be okay, why you couldn't. I heard these different spies and say little shit about this, like, oh, it's supposed to be easy and all this and that. So if this motherfucker can't do the job, then he gonna end up getting fired, I guess, or killed, or it's just some motherfuckers in Florida just recently, a couple months ago, got killed. It was a guy, the lady, and the child, all black, And then it was some white guy, and he killed the white guy, killed himself, and he said it's because he ain't like black people, all this. Man, usually when niggas get killed, it usually just be the guy. They usually don't kill the female and the child. They just changed the law in Florida. Anybody could buy a fucking gun, you don't need no license or nothing. There's about to be a lot of niggas dying in Florida, because a lot of these people working my cases coming out of Florida, all these Caribbean motherfuckers, Haitians, Jamaicans and shit, because they know they playing on both sides, right? Because here, like a couple months ago, about 5-6 months ago, I was out, and this Jamaican, whoever the fuck he was like, this nigga, he was like, yeah, I want to fight him. And the other guy was like, you fucking up the money. So they've been dragging this shit out, for easy money. They just stay on the case and they keep getting paid or whatever, and they just drag the shit out and make up some excuse why they couldn't do the job or whatever, like when I was in Denver, they could say, oh, it was in public, so the cameras is there, all this little bullshit like that, because the shooter or whoever the fuck he is, he don't want to go to jail or whatever, Like with Nipsey, how the nigga end up going back to jail, they want to avoid that shit. They don't want to. They want it to be clean, where they could just get away and nobody know what happened, who did what, whatever, like that type of shit. So, everybody's trying to cover their ass, and point fingers. This person did that. This person did that. They don't want it to get to that, So that's why they bringing all these motherfuckers in to cover up all the bullshit. Because when shit go wrong, go sour, people start talking and pointing fingers, be like, oh, all the little backroom deals, and motherfuckers then motherfuckers get mad and start pointing fingers, and it get ugly, So they just got all these motherfuckers to cover that shit up and whatever, It's obvious, man. It took me a while, but I really didn't give a fuck. I probably could have figured this shit out earlier. But I just buy pussy, man. I don't be giving a fuck about all this bullshit. But it's just in my face constantly all the time, So it's like you can't help but just figure shit out after a while, If motherfuckers just keep coming around me talking little stupid ass shit, and I hear one motherfucker say this thing, one guy say that thing, You know, and I'm like, oh, okay, whatever, you know. Even now, I really don't give a fuck. I just know what's going on, you know. But these motherfuckers, they fucked up horribly, you know. You're talking about a big fuck up, you know, to the point where they gotta have every goddamn agency you could think of involved, you know, to cover this and that. And even after they do whatever, you know, motherfuckers still gonna be pointing fingers. Like, okay, you fucked that up. It wasn't supposed to take this long. It wasn't supposed to get out of hand and all that shit, you know. Cause usually when some nigga get knocked off, it's just in the hood. Nobody knows. No big deal, you know. You might hear about it on the news for 10 seconds and people forget about the shit, you know. But it don't never get out of hand to the point where, you know, it's 10,000 motherfuckers involved and everybody wondering like, okay, what's gonna happen, you know. And everybody curious, like, oh, okay, what happened, you know. And then people got dirt on each other too. So you could be like, okay, I looked out for you for this, now look out for me for that, you know. Like when I was in Detroit, right? Now they got the Super Bowl coming there, or the draft pick or some shit like that. Just like in Phoenix, they having the Super Bowl there. So everywhere I went there and did favors for people, you know. Here in Hawaii, they gave one of the islands back. One of them islands that, you know, the U.S. government had, they gave it back to the state of Hawaii. And when I was in Colorado, they just, they had made gay marriage legal across the country. So, you know, they just got by favors to cover this, to cover that, and all that bullshit. So that's why it's such a big deal where you got all these motherfuckers involved. Gay motherfuckers, other prostitutes, you name it, you know. They bought favors from, like, oh, we gotta get rid of this nigga, you know. But they been doing this shit, doing hits, and they just knock this nigga off, knock that nigga off, you know. But after George Floyd, they didn't have to. Some people, I guess, they gotta frame it to be like, oh, this guy's a monster, a bad guy. And that's what they're trying to do with me, man. They try to say, oh, I'm crazy, I'm mental health problems and all that shit. So they're trying to say it was a suicide, you know, that type of bullshit like that, man. Just to cover their ass, whatever, you know. So that's why it's such a big deal, all these motherfuckers. It's not just because some hoe was selling pussy, you know, because she wasn't even no big hoe. She was like making a couple hundred here and there and shit like that. It ain't because I was just buying some pussy, you know, but it's related because motherfuckers get tired of that shit. So there's like, they don't want to have to deal with that shit no more, you know. So it's like, okay, fuck, we're just gonna knock this nigga off. And then I was always moving around. You know, this is where they fucked up, man. I could talk about the spies all day. Like, they'll be aggressive. Even now, I was just walking around and they want to come up and shake my hand and say what's up. Just imagine how silly that shit look. We in Hawaii, right, on Waikiki. It's fine women walking around, fine white bitches, fine Asian bitches. Some motherfucker want to walk up to me to shake my hand, and he with a girl. Like, who the fuck does some shit like that? Like, if I'm walking with my girl, I'm gonna be hugging her, holding her hand. I ain't gonna look at it, some strange nigga, and want to shake his hand. Then they got these old white motherfuckers out there. It's easy to spot them, man. I done dealt with these motherfuckers for years. They all be on the phone, texting, and they'll stare at me and point at me, and everywhere I go, man, they do that shit, you know. And then they talk all loud, you know, be all excited and shit. It's like being a celebrity, you know. It's the closest thing to being a celebrity, except I ain't got the money, and but I get a little pussy, but not like, you know, not just thrown at me like from random regular women, just hoes I fuck. But still, basically, it's the closest thing to being a celebrity, you know, like infamous, you know. I mean, to the point even where they gonna change the way they operate, because they can't be doing this little silly bullshit they doing, man. It's too much for one motherfucker, you know. And do this for all a bunch of different people. You know, they ain't got time for that shit. You're supposed to be real quick and easy, you know. So that's what it is, man. These motherfuckers trying to knock me off. And it's got out of hand, so now they got to cover it up. So they kind of call all these people do favors and shit. So these motherfuckers, man, it's it's so funny. Like, I could watch one video, like a Japanese video or some shit, and then 1,000 Japanese people will show up. I don't even speak no motherfucking Japanese, you know. It's just so silly like that. They just so cautious. Like, I heard this one white guy, he was like, he said, this could be over tomorrow. You know, cause so they're hanging on a string, you know. It's like if you have, I guess, some whistleblower or some shit like that, you know. But it's gonna get to that anyway, because people gonna be pointing fingers and all. I heard these motherfuckers arguing about the shit and all that, you know. Somebody gonna take a blame for the fuck up, you know. And then people gonna be pointing fingers and, you know, some people be able to wipe their hands clean and act like the shit never happened. They ain't had nothing to do with it, you know. But it's just gonna be one or two that have to take the blame or whatever. But this shit's funny to me because, you know, all I do is buy pussy. I ain't doing nothing else but fucking hoes, strippers, prostitutes, all this shit, you know. I mean, it's fun. Even the females think this shit funny, man. It's so fucking ridiculous, you know. Because they don't have to take no hit or no blame, so they ain't worried about the shit. They just looking at it from a spectator view, you know. This shit is just ridiculous, you know. And I heard someone say, like, hey, just let it go. Yeah, it ain't that big of a deal, you know. And I appreciate that, but these motherfuckers ain't about to let that shit go, you know. Because it's almost like a triple cross, okay? Like, motherfuckers trying to get at me. Then you got other motherfuckers getting their little money, their little payoff and shit. So they want the shit to drag out. So they just fuck up the plans. Because I heard these motherfuckers be, oh, I thought they was going to do it this day or do it that day or whatever the fuck they was planning on doing. So motherfuckers fuck up their plans and drag the shit out and just keep buying favors. Because these motherfuckers just throwing the money out like confetti, you know. So motherfuckers say, oh, how can you prove it? Man, you can't really, man. But you just got to put two and two together. I'm a nigga that get all kind of pussy, buy white pussy, different prostitutes. You know, white motherfuckers don't like that shit. And I get my little money, whatever. I travel around and shit, you know. Just like if you seen all these rappers dying, just random niggas that's got just a little bit of money dying. Like, ain't even gotta be no famous big rapper, just the most small time rapper. So you could throw me in that same category, just some little small time nigga with a little bit of money, get a little white pussy here and there, you know. So these motherfuckers just mad, you know, about a little silly ass shit, you know. It ain't no big deal, but you motherfuckers make this shit a big deal. You know how people get over pussy, you know, real anxious and shit, ready to fight and all that type of shit. But you just gotta look at the circumstances. Like, why are they doing all this for this nigga, you know? If you look at, like, my background, my records, you can look up my name and see I've been arrested for trying to buy pussy, and you can see I was in the military and all that shit. So, you know, it ain't necessary to do all this extra shit, you know, unless you're just trying to frame somebody. And Ice-T said some real shit. He was like, you know, Ice-T was like, you know, once he went clean, he was like, if they was gonna investigate him, they wouldn't find shit either. It's like he was like motherfucker would get fired because they wouldn't find. He just play games and go home and do his TV show, you know. But the one thing he ain't mentioned is like if they after you for 10 years, they ain't just doing it just to put you in jail. They gonna want to just kill you then. You know, Big Mike talked about it on Mac City. He know what's up, man. He was a CO and all that shit. You know, so they try and frame it. However, if that don't work, they just fucking knock you off, you know. Anybody can get knocked off. I mean, that ain't no big deal, but the way they do it is with me is they trying to frame it a certain way, you know. Cause let's say I just walk down the middle of the street and get my head blown off, and I'm under supposed investigation. It'll be obvious, like, okay, how is motherfucker just get his head blown off in the middle of nowhere, and you got all these motherfuckers watching, like ain't nobody know, you know. So it'll be obvious, you know, it's like a setup or some shit. If somebody wanted to be like a whistleblower or some shit like that. So everybody trying to cover their ass, kind of. So somebody could take the blame for the shit, you know. And that's why they're trying to find these old silly ass niggas. And then they lie to them. That's another thing. You know, why all of a sudden when I go buy some pussy, people just disappear. Cause I have like 1,000 motherfuckers follow me around. And then when I go buy some pussy, cause I've been fucking prostitutes, and all of a sudden, I just had like 1 or 2 people following me. I've noticed that cause I've been buying pussy for years, so all the way up. Even before this, like when I was in Denver and Phoenix and Vegas, I noticed that shit. Like when I went to go see a hoe buy some pussy, motherfuckers disappear. I wouldn't have nobody bothering me. Even when I was fucking with Brittany, them couple months, you know, I didn't have a million motherfuckers following me and fucking with me and shit like that, you know. So that's how, you know, if it's such a big deal to have all these people follow me, all this shit, well, all of a sudden when I'm with somebody, the motherfuckers disappear, you know. Or when I talk about sex, all of a sudden, you know, because then they can't frame it a certain way. You gotta say, like I was in Diamond Head, hiking up the mountain, and there's a white guy, he's talking to this white lady. They just be so damn excited, man. He was like, oh, he's depressed. And then the lady said, no, I don't, he's not depressed, you know. So even like the spies work in the case, they're not going along with this bullshit. Cause you got like bad apples everywhere, right? So when people say, oh, this is corrupt and these people corrupt, it ain't all of them. It just be like 1 or 2 bad apples, you know, and they try and do some little shit, you know. I know I done worked different jobs and did different things, and you have 1 or 2 fuck ups that, you know, get a place a bad name, or, you know. And you can't weed everybody out. You always gonna have 1 or 2 bad apples in some organization, whatever it is, you know, whether it's law or restaurants or whatever. All the cooks ain't gonna be great cooks, and you know, just any fucking organization. You gonna have somebody that's gonna fuck up. That's just how it is, you know. So I'm surprised a motherfucker will look out for me and call out the bullshit, but they do it internal. You know, they ain't like do no whistleblowing type shit. But they'll let motherfuckers know, like, man, just let the shit go. It ain't worth it. It's bullshit, you know. But it's somebody, you know, pays somebody off to do some bullshit, whatever like that, you know. And I ain't tripping, you know. See, anybody that's getting a lot of pussy, you gonna have somebody jealous of you, man. Even if you just a broke motherfucker, you ain't gotta be rich and famous. You know, if you getting pussy, like a lot of pussy, especially white hoes, and you a nigga, motherfuckers gonna be mad and jealous and shit like that. And I'm just fucking little prostitutes, you know, little hoes that ain't even drop dead gorgeous and shit like that. These spies that got working this case look way better than the hoes I be fucking, you know. and they wouldn't fuck with me. They would fuck with these other guys that's working, but these motherfuckers still get mad because they fuck hoes too. So that's why I thought it was that. They was just mad because I was fucking hoes. They was fucking or something. But it ain't that. That's part of it. But the cherry on top is the motherfuckers advocating. You ain't supposed to be siding with no nigga over no white guy. Even the motherfucking, I heard this East Indian lady arguing with this Indian guy. East Indian. And everybody know East Indians, they don't fuck with niggas, Africans and shit like that. Even she had to admit this was some bullshit. And it's just fucking ridiculous. But they could just keep making up bullshit, have some anonymous spy with some anonymous tip, make up some bullshit and just keep on follow me around and all this bullshit. It's fucking ridiculous, man. And I ain't mad at him. I guess it's survival. You gotta save your job or your race and all that bullshit. I get it. I was in the army. I've been in Afghanistan, Iraq, so I get it, man. You gotta go down, be part of the team, whether right or wrong. Even if somebody mess up, you don't sack the whole team. You try and cover for them or whatever. I get it. I undid shit like that. You know, but the shit just so funny to me, man, because I never think all this shit. It was this movie called The Golden Child with Eddie Murphy. And all these motherfuckers was trying to kill this little boy, and there's Eddie Murphy and these motherfuckers protecting him because he had like I forget what the fuck the movie was about, but I remember they was just protecting this little boy. They called him the Golden Child. This is what that remind me of, man. It's like all these motherfuckers mad at me, trying to kill me and shit. Even white motherfuckers, and you got white ladies talking about, oh yeah, I like him. And, it's hilarious. I heard him, and the white guys like, what, you like him? It's like they trying to frame me, make motherfuckers hate me and shit. It's so funny to me, man. I already know the hoes fuck with me and the strippers, but I didn't expect no regular lady to had no sympathy or whatever like that, because it ain't like I'm not like a goody two shoes, so it really ain't no reason just to be like, oh, just to really fuck with me, other than what I did messing with that hoe in Vegas. That's the only reason I can think of, because most guys, when they deal with like little hoes, little prostitutes, they be all overbearing and shit like that. But I was like real loving to her, so maybe I don't know, the agents, they appreciate that, some nigga not harassing no lady, giving her no hard time. They already got a hard enough time selling pussy, dealing with tricks and all that shit anyway. So I don't know, man. It's a lot of reasons different shit happen. It ain't just one reason. So for a minute I tried to figure it out and put two and two together and be like, oh, it's because of this or that. But I don't know, man. I really don't give a fuck, man. I just want to buy some pussy and don't even be bothered with none of these stupid motherfuckers. Even if I went to wherever, any other country, it'd be the same shit. They'll have motherfuckers, probably some security guards pop up at the brothels and shit like that. You know, doing little funny shit. You know, the way they do it now is basically they just let me fuck the hoe once, and then after I get the pussy, then they'll interrogate the hoe and see if she like me. You know, and if she like me, then they just move her around. You know, cause I had a hoe tell me that the hoe in Phoenix, I already fucked in El Paso, so I knew her already. And I was fucking her a bunch of times, and she was like, "Yeah, they asked about you, whatever, whatever." You know, so she magically just disappeared all of a sudden. You know, to another city or to work another city or whatever. But sometimes I'll still get to fuck the same hoe, but only if they like cooperate. You know, so like they'll wire up their hotel, their apartment, and when I go see them, they can see if I'm talking to her or whatever like that. But if the hoe don't go along with it, then they'll just run out of town. You know, I've noticed that, man, and I can't prove it, but I just know how they work with hoes. You know, they deal with hoes a certain way. You know, I've been fucking with hoes 20 years. I know how they deal with hoes. You know, so they'll use them as spies. If they can't, then they'll just give them a hard time. You know, that little shit. You know. Because anybody, you don't even have to really know about hoes too much, but just look at it like this. It's hoes selling pussy all over different states and cities, you know. But you notice it's only a few that get arrested, you know. You just put two and two together. Why you think only one of them or two of them got arrested and the rest of them just go and don't get bothered? Even with Brittany, when I was fucking with her in Vegas, you know, they did a roundup. It's like 2019. They did a roundup all these hoes selling pussy, and then they let her go, no bond, and she left like early too. Like she was only in there for maybe a couple hours, or they just booked her or whatever like that, and they let her go. You know, cause she just made a deal real quick. You know, so they'll work with hoes. You know, they know it's bullshit too, but the law they ain't gonna change the laws. So they just work with them. The ones they work with, they just turn the black. Even like now, you know, it ain't no hoes getting arrested. You know, it's hoes selling pussy all over. Been fucking hoes the past year. You know, ain't one been arrested. You know, because they don't arrest like during an investigation. They don't make arrests with hoes. So they'll just let the hoes just work or whatever. They ain't gonna arrest them. You know, they use them as whatever. You know. Witnesses and shit like that, you know. Same thing like with a pimp. If a pimp got some hoes, you know, they're not gonna arrest his hoes unless they're not cooperating or whatever like that, you know. So I know, man. The same thing with the strip club, right? Like I was in there, and obviously, you know, you're not supposed to get no pussy in no strip club. I got my dick sucked in VIP. You know, they ain't got no cameras in there or nothing like that, but still, most strippers would be scared to do that shit, you know. They ain't finna go along with that when they know it's heat, you know. So, it's just obvious what's going on, man. But that's just the way they function. You know, I don't care, man. They gotta do their job, whatever. Sometimes you get it right, sometimes you get it wrong. You know, that's why they have all these commissions where they go back 20 years and see a motherfucker was wrongly convicted and all that shit. You know, but the majority of people did the crime. You know, it's just a few here and there that, you know, got rammed through the system. Somebody had a vendetta against them. So that's what they're doing with me and shit, you know. Just trying to run me through the system, you know. And then they can come back 20 years later and be like, oh no, that was wrong. And you know, they do the little investigations and shit. You know, same thing when I was like in the army, man. You know, you might drop a bomb on somebody, the wrong house, or raid the wrong house, or kill the wrong motherfucker. You know, it just happens. It's just collateral damage. It happens. You know, you ain't gonna get everything right. You know, so it ain't a big deal. It's just part of operation. So I ain't tripping. You know, I understand it. You know, but the shit is just funny to me. It's almost like they trying to get the shit perfect, like no fuck ups, and you know, like it's a delicate situation. You know, kind of like the way they got like Bin Laden. You know, they had to verify it was him, and they didn't just blow up a bunch of houses when they got him. You know, they made sure it was him and all that type of shit. You know, being like extra careful and all that shit. So they do that with some people. You know, like I guess you can call it like a high value target or whatever the fuck you want to call it. There's just some people that be more careful and be like, oh, make sure it's the right one and whatever. You know, make sure it get done the right way. It gotta be done a certain way and all this shit. But this is where they fucked up at. You know, they had these silly niggas come out and lying, making up bullshit. You know, I mean, to the point they was telling motherfuckers I was gay. Like, really, how the fuck a motherfucker gay and I'm buying pussy from hoes? You know, just outright landish lies. They don't even mean shit. You know, so just trying to get motherfuckers to hate me, I guess. You know, because some people don't like gay people. Say I'm gay. Motherfuckers don't like me for that, or say this and that and whatever bullshit. You know, to get that motherfucker not to like me, or say I buy pussy or whatever, you know, whatever they could come up with to make a motherfucker not like me for whatever reason, man. And I would think, you know, motherfuckers be like that, like, oh, he buy pussy, we don't like him, man. These females don't give a fuck about that shit. Some nigga buying pussy, cause a lot of them got sugar daddies. A lot of them get married to motherfuckers with money that they really don't like that much, but they're like, fuck it, he got some money, I'll fuck with him, you know. Same way like I would buy some pussy from some hoe that got some nice titties and nice ass. I may not like her personality, you know, but I'm a fucker if she got some good pussy, a nice body, you know. So I'll deal with the hoe, you know. Same thing motherfuckers deal with like guys with money, man. They ain't really tripping about all that shit, you know. As long as you ain't like it, you ain't abusive and hard to deal with. You just give them some little money here and there, they ain't gonna trip, you know. So that's like me. Motherfucker be like, oh, I'm ugly, or just say all that little bullshit, man. But I'm gonna spend my little money and not get no hoe no hard time. So hoes like that, you know. Same way I like a hoe with some good pussy that don't give me a hard time. It's the same thing, you know. So a motherfucker would deal with me like that. It ain't shit to be like, oh, I ain't like no pimp harassing no motherfuckers and shit like that, man. I fuck with hoes that already sell pussy. Ain't like I'm walking up to no female like, hey, just a random any old female. You know, I go up to a hoe that's selling pussy and buy the pussy, you know. So you can't come at me with that bullshit, man. I've been doing this shit 20 years, man. Even hoes like me. I know that for a fact because I had hoes tell me that, you know. Several hoes have told me I was their favorite trick and they like seeing me and they give me a cheaper price and all type of shit, man. So same thing with strippers. So I already know they fuck with me, you know. But even just a regular female, they ain't really got that hatred like that, man. At the most, they might not like that I'm fucking at hoes, you know. But that's really just because competition, man. All it is, you know, it's always gonna be this bitterness between hoes and regular females. Cause hoes, you know, they getting their little money fucking and being loose and shit. And then a regular female, she gotta be all modest and can't fuck around and gotta stay at home and all that shit, you know. But it all come down to the money. It just, you know, it's more than one way to skin a cat, you know. But it's both about getting to the money, you know. The modest woman, she want to get married, have motherfucker give her the money. The hoe want the motherfucker to give her the money, and she gonna give him some pussy. It's the same thing, man. Different ways to skin a cat. It's about getting to the money, you know. So most guys don't understand the shit females do when it comes to that, man. Motherfuckers be naive and look at little stupid shit like, oh, you gotta do this and that to get a girl, take her on a date, and all that stupid ass shit. And it's about the money, man. You gotta dress nice, and man. If you a millionaire, a bitch don't give a fuck if you walking around in sandals and shit like that. If you got some dress all nice and all that shit. But if it's about just attraction, yeah, motherfuckers attracted to whatever they want to fuck a certain person, they look a certain way and all that shit. But as far as like the money, all that shit don't matter, man. You know, I'm the same way with hoes. Like dealing with a hoe is different than having some girlfriend. It's a totally different thing, man. You know, I'm buying pussy from a hoe. I'm not thinking about all that little extra bullshit, you know. So some of the stuff overlap, you know. But it's just different, man. But, you know, females, they got a better understanding of that shit than most guys do, you know. Because a lot of guys are like naive, you know, superficial and all that bullshit. And I know this from dealing with hoes, you know. They broke it down to me. I didn't even know all that shit till I started buying pussy. Till some hoe broke it down to me, and I'm like, I got an understanding of what was going on and all that. You know, a lot of people try and keep that shit secret, you know. Like, hoes don't be wanting people to know certain shit, and then same thing with just regular female. They don't want just the average guy to be knowing certain things about them. Like, every group got their little secrets. The Masons got their secrets. They don't want the public to know. The drug dealers got their secrets. The rappers, actors, even food companies. You know, like you buy food from whatever Heinz or what. They got their secret ingredient and shit. So every organization got their little. So same thing with like pimps. They got their little secrets they don't want people to know. And so same thing with like hoes, and you got these sororities and all this little shit, man. Everybody got their little stuff they try and keep, their little special sauce, whatever the fuck you want to call it. The little it factor type shit that separates you, you know. You don't want people to know because then you're going to have competition if everybody know all your shit, you know. But with me, it's different. I'm a trick that buy pussy. I don't give a fuck if another motherfucker buying pussy and know this and that about hoes and all that shit, you know. And I'm like, I'm not no group or nothing like that, you know. It ain't like no sorority or tricks. You know, pretty much everybody tricking buying pussy, you know. But I ain't like no secret to me. The little shit I do, man, it's I don't give a fuck if somebody else know me buying pussy and I do this with that with a hoe and all that shit, you know. Motherfuckers be doing all type of shit, man, to be ashamed of. To me, putting my dick in a pussy and giving a hoe a couple $100, that ain't no shameful shit, you know. Big deal. I got some pussy, I get a hoe some money, you know. What's the difference than going to the bar, buy a bitch a drink, then get some pussy, you know. But it only people that really bash that shit be the black people. You know, black guys, they just all, oh, you gave her some money. I'm like, man, if you getting money, you don't give a fuck about that little shit, you know. If you just constantly getting money all the time, you don't give a fuck about giving nobody, a couple $100, 500, little shit like that. Cause what all these niggas don't talk about, they're trying to bash niggas at trip. And that's the funny thing, they don't talk about niggas that be in a strip club, but they'll bash a nigga that actually got some pussy, But they don't talk about how much a nigga spending. Cause a motherfucker go in a strip club and might throw 10,000, some shit, 5,000, some shit like that, and be like, oh yeah, he was in the strip club, we're having a ball, And they'll give him props, but then nigga give a hoe 400 for some pussy, be like, oh, you a trick, That's how silly niggas is, man, I'm glad I ain't listened to all that little silly shit growing up. I just always thought that shit was funny, man. It's entertaining. It's just wacky, like Animaniacs, some Looney Tune cartoon. It's just fucking so ridiculous. It's funny, The shit entertaining, but you can't live by that shit. Ain't no life advice type shit. Nothing to take serious. But I know how niggas is. They be wanting pussy too, man. It's a lot of niggas be fucking fat white hoes, fat white bitches and shit like that, but they ain't gonna admit that shit, Most of them, I admit it, I done fucked a whole bunch of fat white hoes, But niggas trying to act like, oh, I only fuck dimes and fine bitches. Motherfuckers say all type of shit, So I gotta deal with these old silly ass niggas. The Asians, they don't bother me about that shit, man. They really don't give a fuck if you go to a spa and get some little pussy. They don't let that shit bother them like that, man. But these white motherfuckers, man, you fuck some little white hoe, they fucking have a fit about that shit, man. Especially if the hoe like you. But I was in a strip club, got a little dance from some stripper, some white stripper. This white guy got all mad and shit, man. So they get all mad about that shit, man. It's ridiculous, Cause the thing with the white prostitutes and the white strippers, they not really, they just playing their role, man. They not like gonna fall in love and want to get married and all that. They ain't with all that shit. They just doing their job, getting their money, They not like all extra with this, cause that's how black prostitutes and strippers be, They be looking more for like a sugar daddy, somebody they could marry and shit like that. Cause you got hoes like that too, man. It's some hoes, they just fucking for their little money, and they'll just fuck 1,000 different guys and get their money and move on in life and go fuck with whoever they want to fuck with, right? But then you got some hoes selling pussy. It's a lot of black hoes like this. Black strippers, they be like this too. They be looking for a sugar daddy they can marry and have a family with and shit like that, I met hoes like that, man. Like, they want to find that trick, that sugar daddy, and they could just retire and marry him, and, because they already know some regular guy ain't gonna want to fuck with him. So they try and find some little trick sugar daddy to fall in love with him and shit. Black hoes be doing that shit. White hoes, they don't do that, They just get their money and go along. And because somebody gonna want to fuck with a white hoe after they finish being a hoe, But ain't nobody really gonna want to fuck with no black hoe after she got her money up and all that shit like that, So that's why the black hoes and the strippers, they try and find like a sugar daddy to fuck with them. And it's not like, it's more gray. It's not like black and white like that. Like, yeah, you got a few little white hoes like that, but it's not the majority of them. They just getting their money. You know, they ain't gotta worry about all that bullshit. You know. So it's interesting, man. You know, all the different situations people be in with these hoes. You know, like even with me, man, I just want to buy pussy, and I had a bunch of hoes tell me, you know, they want me to be their boyfriend. They want to give me some money. They don't even want me to be tricking on them and shit. You know, I would have never thought that shit in a million years. You know, some hoe would like me. You know, but that's what it is, man. Like just the general information out there about prostitutes, like all the documentaries and books and shit, they don't really talk about all the details. You know, they try to like water it down, and they don't talk about all the nitty gritty or like how it really is when you fucking with a hoe, you know. But I done seen all this shit. I understand what's going on. And see with a hoe, see you get some little young hoe, you know, that's new, ain't traveled, ain't been to no cities. If she meets somebody that like know the game, they gonna wanna fuck with you. So I fuck with some little young hoe, right? And then we might talk for a few minutes, and I tell her this and that, whatever. Most of the time they gonna appreciate, you know, the little information I give them. It ain't even like no deep shit, you know, just basic shit that I got an understanding of. But I can go more in detail and all that. And then they'll be interested and be like, oh, they want to know more, you know. And then they might want to fuck with me just because of that, you know. It's the same thing when hoes fuck with pimps, you know. It's similar, you know. A hoe, 9 times out of 10 gonna wanna fuck with a pimp that know what he doing, understand the game and all that shit, you know. So kind of like with me, I just know what's going on. So if I talk to her, they gonna want to be like, oh, I had hoes tell me this, that I should be a pimp, you know, because I just know whatever's going on. I've been around all this shit, you know. So that's what it is. It's like a gray area. It ain't black and white like that, you know. Even on the pimp side, you know, a lot of niggas in Memphis know what I'm talking about. They'll go to the strip club and they'll tip some little strippers and all that shit, you know. And then later on, they end up pimping on the hoe, you know. So it's like, it's gray areas. It's, you know, you watch the movies, TV and all that bullshit, you know, they make it seem like it's black and white, man. But it's more like it's more a gray area, you know. So even with pimps, they'll tell their hoes not to fuck with no trick like me. Like they'll say I'm a slick trick or whatever. They got different names for the shit, but they don't want their hoes fucking with tricks that know what's going on, where they can't get over on them and all that shit, you know. Cause some pimps, they tell their hoes little bullshit, you know. Like give them quotas and tell them how much to charge, all this little stupid ass shit, you know. It's silly to me, man. You can tell when a nigga know what he doing and don't know what he doing by the way his hoe working, you know, how she dressed and all that type of shit. You can tell, like whoever she with, they don't know what the fuck they doing. Like in Detroit, right? Yeah, I fucked a few Asian hoes out there or whatever. Some of them look cute, you know. Some of them kind of okay, whatever. But I wonder, like, why is this hoe here? Out of all the cities this hoe can go sell some pussy, why she coming? It ain't even no money here like that. But it's a bunch of niggas pimping in Detroit, you know. So some niggas, they different. They'll try and test the hoe to see if she faithful or follow instructions. All type of little shit motherfuckers do to test the hoe to see if, you know, they want to give her some good game to see if they'll stay with her and give them the money and all that type of shit. It's all this little underhanded shit that goes on, man. Um, it's happened in other little industries. When Scion came out with their car, before you go to a car dealership, they do all this little funny shit, and then after you buy the car, they add some more shit in that they don't tell you. So when Scion came, they just put the stickers like, okay, this how much the car is. And then people innovate in different industries and make it more accessible. And like when Nolo came out with their law books, a lot of lawyers was mad because you could just go read a Nolo book and get basic legal, information and all that shit. You don't have to go pay a lawyer $500 for 3 hours to ask them some little simple basic questions and shit like that, right? So it's kind of like that with the hoes, Before a hoe have to go and ask somebody this and that just to get a little basic information about a little silly shit, But once people started writing books and doing little documentaries and all that, they ain't have to go to the pimp, They could just figure out the shit themselves, So it's like that, man. But you always got people trying to fool somebody else, Get over on somebody with some little weak bullshit. People trying, it's always gonna be like that. People trying to take advantage. Some other motherfucker don't know what's going on, especially a hoe, Cause a lot of these niggas, man, they ain't got no other source of income but other than some hoe, so they trying to get over on this hoe, get over on that hoe. They know she ain't gonna stay with them, so get whatever little money they can get with, all that little, before she leave and all that shit like that. It's all type of little bullshit. It's the same thing with the music business, It's funny to me, man. It didn't take me long to figure this shit out. And you got hoes that's been selling pussy for 10, 15 years, and they still ain't figure all this shit out, But the best hoes I know of, the best porn stars, they'll do their research. They'll look at other hoes, like the Everly Sisters in Chicago. Before they opened their brothel, they went to all these different cities, visited all these different madams, and then they opened their brothel, and they had the best brothel arguably ever. It had kings and queens coming from all over Europe and shit like that. But they study, they survey, study different brothels on it, see how to work they business or whatever, So most hoes don't do that, man. They just get involved with whoever, and the motherfucker tell them some little bullshit, and they just be stuck with that nigga. A lot of times they already pregnant with a baby, so they in desperation and all that type of shit, man. Same thing with niggas pimping. They get involved and they just be desperate, and they gotta have a hoe give them a little 100, 200 here and there, a little bullshit like that, And they trying to talk all slick and all this shit. It's funny, man. Like, some stuff just fall in people's lap, Like athletes, most athletes just born with their talent. It just fell in their lap, They just happen to, be born with this talent. Now they making millions and they some star, So certain people like that, shit just fall in your lap. So like what these hoes selling pussy, The game you want to call, if you want to call it that, it just fell in my lap, I'm talking about to the point where I got this shit down to a science. Like, cause I heard different motherfuckers talk about little bullshit, but they end up going to jail and dealing with all this bullshit. I got it down to a science to the point where you could do this shit, not have to worry about going to jail, none of that shit. You know, it's loopholes. It's little loopholes. You know, people don't talk about. You know, people that haven't dealt with this shit, they know, but it take them years to figure it out, and they gotta deal with all this. See, I was just buying pussy, so I was just fucking with hoes. So I wasn't like taking no chances, you know, fucking getting life and all that bullshit. I was just buying pussy, you know, and the shit just fell in my lap, man. And it's like, it's really no way to stop it, because there's always gonna be some hoes selling pussy. You know, it's really no way to prove it's I mean, kind of like with Al Capone. You know, it's one of them things like, you know, you could do it, and you could be a mob boss and motherfucking not prove it. You know, if you smart enough, you know, it's a way to do it. But same thing with hoes. You could pimp hoes and not be caught. You know, it's a way to do it. You know, but I don't want to. I just know, because I done fucked with hoes for 20 years. You know, so I don't care about the shit. I just want some pussy. I don't want to be bothered with all this little silly ass motherfucking bullshit, you know. Cause it really ain't worth the money, man. It's just like with sports, right? Most athletes, they play whatever because they just like the sport. Yeah, you could do it for the money, but you gonna end up getting an injury or bad back or some shit. You know, anybody who know about sports know athletes be getting injuries and all type of shit. You know, it might be some shit fuck you up for the rest of your life. You know, yeah, you gonna get paid a couple million or whatever, but you know, it ain't worth losing. You know, fucking being able to be active and all this different type of stuff like that. You know, especially like a hard sport like football or whatever. Baseball a little different. But like them hard sports like football and soccer and all that shit, man, people usually do that because they just like the sport, you know. So it's the same thing with some hoes selling pussy. You know, yeah, you could do it, fuck with a hoe here, get this little money in there, but it really ain't worth it unless you just really just like hoes. You just got this one hoe you just in love with or some shit like that, you know. So that's why I don't get involved with the shit, because it ain't worth it for no little couple million or whatever little bullshit, you know, to deal with all them problems and all that shit, you know. As far as the money, it just ain't worth it, you know. But I do like fucking getting pussy, but I ain't got to do all that shit to get pussy, you know. So it's funny, man. It's like, okay, I ain't got to do it, but I can still tell other people, okay, this how you do it, you know, because there's always going to be some people that's going to fuck with some hoes. Like, if you want to do it, this how you do it, you know. You know, I ain't going to tell nobody, you know, encourage them, but I already know it's people that want to do it, man. You see all these rappers and these niggas talking about the shit, glamorizing this shit, you know. People want to do this shit, but they don't know what the fuck they doing. They just looking at it from like, they just want to get some money, but they really don't know what the fuck to do, how to do it the right way, all that shit, you know. End up getting killed and going to jail and all that bullshit because they thought it was easy, you know. This shit hard and it's time consuming, you know. And you gotta be smart to do it too. You can't be any criminal, you gotta be smart. You wanna be in a mob, you gotta be smart. You wanna be a fucking white collar criminal. You gotta be smart. You can't be no little dumbass, you know. Same thing with a hitman. You know, you wanna go do hits on people, be murdering motherfuckers, you gotta be smart, you know. So most motherfuckers, when they get involved with shit, they don't really do their little background, little checks. And like with the Everly Sisters, I'm always gonna give them their props, man. They one of the few people who knew what they was doing before they got involved, you know. That's why they had the best brothel. I don't think there'll ever be some better madams than Everly Sisters, you know. And maybe there'll be some other ones that make as much money, make more money or whatever like that. But far as like the way they operate it, you know, it ain't gonna be nobody do it like them. You know, just like with kind of like with these athletes, you'll have some athletes that come along and make some more money, but it ain't gonna be too many more Jordans and Shaquille O'Neals and Tom Brady's and different little star athletes and shit like that, you know. So like with tricking, there ain't too many people that's gonna do it like I did it, man. You know, I just liked hoes, man. That was the main thing. That's the most important thing, you know. I actually did like buying, you know, fucking hoes, getting pussy, you know. It wasn't like no hateful thing or no sodomy, you know, a sadistic type shit, you know, none of that bullshit. Cause I'm guessing the average guy when he go buy some pussy, he just wants some hoe to like do whatever he want, you know, like whatever his little fetish he got, his little specialty, do this, do that bullshit. But then she not even the right person to do it, you know. If I want to eat some sushi, I'm not gonna go to no motherfucking Mexican and be like, yeah, I want you to make me some sushi. I wouldn't even ask no fucking Mexican no shit like that, you know. So same thing with a hoe selling some pussy, you know. Yeah, it's just like, oh, you got different lawyers, but different lawyers got different specialties, you know. They all lawyers. Technically, any of them could represent any client in whatever type of case, but they all got their specialty. So you're going to go to the lawyer that got a specialty for whatever you need. So same thing with a hoe selling pussy, man. You know, it's all different hoes selling pussy, but you're going to go to a certain hoe to get a certain service. Not all of them going to do it as good as the other hoe does it. You know, it's just certain hoes that do things better than other hoes or whatever like that. You know. And I just know this from experience. You know, when I first started buying pussy, I ain't know, you know. But I just tried all this different shit, all these different hoes. So I just know what's going on, man. It's and any hoe that's selling pussy, if they serious about it, if they really want to make it a career or whatever you want to call it, and they meet somebody that know what's going on, they gonna want to fuck with them, you know. And if they like got a heart of gold or whatever you want to call it, then they'll look out, you know, if they go make $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, they be like, okay, they'll give you a little cut, you know. You don't even have to ask them, they just do it, whatever. I know how hoes are, man. I done dealt with them for years, you know. And you don't really have to go out of your way to look for them, you know. Or at least not in certain cities, you know, like Like Vegas, they everywhere, you know. Even Mike Tyson talked about how he had a hoe, for a while when he was in his losing streak before he made his comeback or whatever. When he went broke or whatever, he had a hoe in Vegas. So, and he a fucking boxer. He don't know shit about no hoes selling pussy, Not at that time he didn't. Maybe now he does, but not at that time he didn't. So that's how it was for me being in Vegas, man. It's like, it's just normal for hoes, just to be working and want to fuck with somebody, Other cities is different. You got to go out your way and shit like that, But out of all the cities I've been to, Vegas, that's probably like the best experience I got, I ain't nothing to compare it to, There's a bunch of other cities you could say is similar to this city and that city, Man, ain't nothing like Vegas. You can't compare it to nothing. It's nothing like it, And just going there to visit is cool, but if you don't really go there for a while, you really won't see what's going on. Because, the person just going there for a week or two, they just gonna go on and have fun and all that shit, And that's cool. But if you ain't there for like a year or two, you just won't get it, It'll just be like going to Disneyland for a week. It's fun and all that, but people that work there, they know all the little shit that go on behind the scenes and all that shit, Even they got this little museum in Vegas called I forget what the fuck it's called, the Sex Museum or whatever. It's not real popular. Little small museum. They got this display in there of all these senators and politicians that got caught messing with like little children and shit like that. Teachers and like, it's like a wall of pedophiles, I didn't even know it was that many, man. You hear about one or two in the news here and there. Just recently, it was one in Phoenix. This Mexican guy in Phoenix got caught messing with some little underage girl or some shit. This is like a couple years ago. And he was in the news. They only put like a little 5-minute clip, 2-minute clip on the news about the shit. They ain't really talking too much about it. But this museum in Vegas, they had a whole fucking wall. Motherfuckers damn near from every state, this senator, that politician, it's fucking, I didn't even hear about half of the motherfuckers, Because a lot of times it's just local news. They don't really talk about it on Fox, CNN, and shit like that. So it's thorough, the museum, they got all this little displays, all this shit, and I'm surprised ain't nobody burnt that motherfucker up. Somebody broke the window. I don't have one. So they broke the window. They mad, whatever, But that museum been there for shit, at least 10 years now. But I know what happened. See, when I went there, because I was in Phoenix, and I went up there. So I went there twice, once by myself and once with Brittany and Alicia. But the first time I went there, I went by myself, and I just went up to Vegas for a day or whatever from Phoenix. Went up there and went and seen some other different hole, whatever. And then all of a sudden, the motherfuckers broke the window and they start having all these events there and all this shit like that. And then they had one of the little spy ladies start working there. This old fat white lady would start. You could tell she didn't even want to be there, you know, because that's what it is. Like everywhere I go, even if I just go there once, you know, they'll put some spy in there to start working there and shit. Like when I was in Vegas, like 2015, I went to the Mob Museum. So I've been there way before, you know, but I didn't know they had like YouTube and Instagram and all that shit. So I followed them on Instagram. Then all of a sudden they got these private events and all this shit going on, you know. I wish, this is one thing I wish I would have took a picture of, man. So motherfucker, this is like undeniable. Nobody could deny this shit. So when I was in Memphis, I went to the Stax Museum. Now the Stax, you know, it's like Isaac Hayes, Al Green, all these little different little singers, soul singers and shit like that. You know, they got Isaac Hayes, green Cadillac in there or whatever. All these little displays of records and shit like that, right? You know, and it's been there for years. Man, that museum been there since the 90s or 2000s or some shit like that. And I went there, and then all of a sudden, man, you had motherfucking Mexicans in there, in the fucking Stax Museum. Like, man, you can't tell me, man, there's some fucking Mexican out there listening to Isaac Hayes and Al Green and some shit like that, you know. You know, if you see a motherfucker like that, he probably from the Bay or LA or some shit like that. But he ain't from no motherfucking Texas or wherever, you know, Mexico, wherever, some shit like that. So I'm in this damn Stax Museum, and before I even walked in, like I seen like, you know, it's like 20 Mexicans walking out as a female there. And like I said, all these spies be all excited and shit. The guy, he was talking to the lady. He was like, why is he here? And then the lady was like it's history. Like, she just got it, you know. Latina female is smart, you know. So the silly ass Mexican guy, he was like, why is he here? Why the fuck you think it's a fucking museum, you know? Just like with Taylor Swift, before she became some big country star, she went to the country museum, the country music museum in Nashville, you know, just doing her homework and shit like that, you know. So that's how these spies are, man. They just play stupid as hell, try and criminalize everything, you know. Like, if I go get something to eat, it's like, oh, I must be trying to funnel some money through. You know, it's just silly as hell, man. But the females, they a little more sensible, more reasonable, you know. So like when I went there, like, and all the Mexicans walked out, and she's like, yeah, it's history. Or she get it, you know. She gets it, you know. Anybody who knows about music, you know, people be sampling older people and, you know, shit like that. Like Kanye West used a lot of samples and shit like that. Like he sampled Ann Peebles. She was with Stax, whatever. So then I went in the museum, and it's like 100 white motherfuckers pulled up. You know how many old ass white motherfuckers in Memphis listening to some fucking Al Green, Isaac Hayes, you know, or even would just go to the motherfucking Stax Museum. You know, these white motherfuckers, when they go to Memphis, they go to Elvis, to see Elvis at Jolly Land, whatever his property is called, I forget. Elvis Land or whatever. That's what they go to Memphis for. They don't go to no motherfucking Stacks Museum. Man, if I wish I would have took a picture of that shit, man. Motherfuckers been like, it would have been so obvious what I'm talking about. Now, motherfuckers, anybody with some damn sense to be like, why are all these white motherfuckers going to a goddamn Stacks Museum, So, that's how ridiculous these spies are. If I go somewhere and it's not secure, so like if they don't have some spy already there in that location, like now when I go to the movies, they got a couple of spies that work there or whatever, so they got them on call. They just call them and watch me and shit, follow me around and shit, whatever the bullshit like that. But if I go somewhere where ain't no spies working there, then they gonna have 100 motherfuckers pull up and just be sitting around and watch every little corner. If I go to the bathroom, they have 5 people follow me in the bathroom. Just ridiculous shit like that. And it's funny to me, man. Like, I ain't doing shit new. I'm buying pussy from hoes for the past 20 years. Like, I ain't finna just all of a sudden want to go fuck with the mob or some shit like that. I'm older, man. I ain't got time for the little bullshit. But that's what the Fed's supposed to do. They supposed to find. I like how Ice-T said it. They try and find some shit you doing. That's their job, to find some shit you doing right. Okay. But with me, they trying to frame me for some bullshit. And this how I can't prove it, but this how I can suspect it, right? If motherfuckers supposed to be following me all around, everything, little thing I do, trying to find some crime, right? Then why all of a sudden when I go fuck some hoes, buy some pussy, it's only 2 or 3 people follow me around. But when I go to a motherfucking McDonald's, it's 50 people following me around. Or when I start talking about sex, because I make my little notes and shit like that. I listen to like little rap songs or whatever. All of a sudden, I got 1 or 2 people and the other people just leave and shit. Because they lie and make up bullshit. This well documented, man. They don't have to, they could lie to you, Now it's a crime to lie to them, but they could lie about you and all that bullshit, right? And then I heard them talk about this shit. Like they be all excited around me. It's when I was in Phoenix, man. Or Denver, wherever the fuck it was. And this one Mexican guy was like, "Oh, we gotta stop using that murder accusation, because that's what they tell people. Oh, I'm a crazy murderer. I'm gonna hurt somebody. So you gotta have 100 people follow me around and surround me, except when I go buy some pussy, of course." It's just fucking ridiculous, man. Even this, DJ Vlad did an interview on Vlad TV. It was with this private investigator. I forget his name. This was like when I was in Denver, when he was interviewing him, when he was posting it. This was like not too long ago, like 3 years ago, 2 years ago. And the private investigator, he was talking about how he got people cleared of charges and shit like that. Whatever. So, after Vlad did the interview, because I was watching it like every day, Vlad, he usually posts one video every day and break the interview down in parts or whatever. So every day I'll watch little clips. So after the interview was done, he just erased it off the damn internet. And it was a good interview, the investigator, he was talking about different little things he do and see what's going on here and there, and to verify different stuff or whatever, different cases he worked on. I think he worked on the OJ case, O.J. Simpson or whatever like that. But yeah, Vlad, he took it down off his YouTube. You know, now somebody might say, "Oh, that's just a coincidence," or it's for whatever reason. But I'll argue, man, it's because I watch this shit, you know, and I got all these spies following me around and watching everything I do. So whatever I do, they talking to each other about, oh yeah, he did this, he did that, whatever, right? So, you know, once they see I don't watch a little thing about the investigator, they can go back and watch it and all this shit, you know. So it's like they lie to each other too. They don't just lie about me, they lie to each other. Like when I was at the strip club and I was talking to this nigga here in Hawaii, I was at the not too long ago, like 6 months ago, whatever. I was at the strip club and then I had this lady working at the desk at the entrance. You know, she take the money. At the end, they had this other nigga there, security, and a white guy. Security. The white guy, he was a spy or whatever like that, you know. So, well, all of them were really, but he was like the guy in charge or whatever. So I'm talking to the black guy like, yeah, I was in Vegas and fucking this hoe and she was selling pussy and all this, whatever, like. And so the white guy, he told the female, he was like, go inside. He didn't tell her why, or he didn't tell her, you know, for whatever reason, because she was working at the, she wasn't a stripper, she was just working the cash register. You know, just secretary or whatever the fuck. So as soon as I started talking about that shit, the white guy said, yeah, go inside, whatever. You know, because he didn't want her to hear what I was talking about, because they tell all these motherfuckers this bullshit about me. Like when I was in Denver, and I'll never forget this shit, man. I was in a hotel, I was listening to Mia X audiobook. It's a cookbook, but she tells like the little stories, you know, about her family or whatever time she spent with her mother. But the most of the book is her just talking about how to cook different stuff, whatever. But I listened to the audiobook. So Denver, they had the spies on me too, and they had like different rooms, and they all could hear me talking in my room, and they got this little speaker system, and different motherfuckers could hear me talking and shit. So I'm in there, you know, listening to the Mia X, you know, and then one part of the book she talked about how her friend wanted to be an escort. And then her grandma was telling her what it's like to be an escort, you know. And then Mia X, she narrated the book, so she talking like, yeah, her grandma told the girl this and that. When you selling pussy, this are the hotels right here. It's Hollycoa and Hilton. And they be having spies out here too. Usually they be out there. You know, it's empty now, but they'll have 1,000 motherfuckers out here. Even now, with just me talking right here, you can't hear me from down there, but they'll just have people leave the beach. Like how you see it's all empty now. I could take another picture tomorrow and there'll be 100 motherfuckers out here, you know, around the same time, you know, just sitting around staring at me and shit. But, you know, when I start talking about pussy and all that, I don't know, they make the same thing like when I was at the strip club. And they told the girl to go upstairs. Same thing, anywhere I go, man, when I'm talking about sex or playing music, they just tell motherfuckers to leave me alone. Because the same shit happened in Denver with this, you know. I was in a hotel playing a little Denver or whatever, playing a little Mia X. And then a motherfucker talking about, her grandma talking about what it's like selling pussy, whatever. So I hear these motherfucking spies, they had them everywhere in the hotel. They was like in a room upstairs above me, in a room below me, in the rooms next door. Sometimes they'll point at me and shit out the window. It's just stupid, silly motherfuckers, man. They just find little crackheads and shit. So I could hear them talking. The girl was like, she was yelling and shit. She was like, what the fuck is this? You know, same thing when I was in Phoenix. And the guy's like, what the fuck is this bullshit? You know. So she yelling like loud as hell. I could hear her. And she was like, you know, he's this and he's that and he's this and he's that. And then they had to call the motherfucking police because her and some other guy, you know, he started to fight her and all this shit. Because they lied to the females about me, you know, they ain't just tell them whatever, you know. So whatever going on with me, I'm buying pussy, they don't tell them that. So they done called the police up to the hotel in Denver. Because, you know, the guy, he was fighting with the same thing happened in Phoenix, man. This guy ended up fighting this girl or hit her or whatever, you know, because they was arguing about me and some shit. Because they lied to the girl about me, you know, and they'll call out they bullshit. So in Denver, you know, they done called the police and all this shit. The guys beating on the girl and all this shit. Same thing here. I seen some motherfuckers walking around with black eyes and on canes and shit. You know, they done beat some little girl up because they done called them out they bullshit. So they called the police and the guy came up to the room where they was at, you know, after they left, whatever. And then he asked the other guy, he was like, what did he say? He's talking about me, like, what did I say for them to start arguing and shit? And then the guy was like, he said escort. You know, that's how silly these spies is. I'm sitting up there listening to an audio book for about 4-5 hours. And then he simplified it. Like, yeah, he's talking about escort. He was talking about all type of shit. Cooking and all type of shit, you know. The Mia X book is a cookbook. So she was talking about cooking and spending time with her grandma, all this shit. It wasn't just talking about being a motherfucking escort, you know. But that's the part where the girl and the guy start arguing in Denver, in that Denver hotel. And I was staying at the extended stay in Aurora. It was actually in Aurora, Colorado. But Aurora's like right next to Denver. You know, by the airport. You know, they changed it to when I first went there, it was a wood spring, but they sold the property to extended stay. You know, but yeah, when I went there, it was a wood spring. I don't know when it officially changed to extended stay, but if you looked it up now, it'd be an extended stay. But it's built like a wood spring, like all the wood spring hotels built the same way. You could see it. It's not no extended stay. They just bought the property. You know what a coincidence. You know, so I've seen this shit over and over and over again. These motherfuckers, these guys and these girl spies, the guys and the ladies arguing about this little shit about me. It's amazing, man. It's like, I don't know, like all the little shit they be talking about, you know, I don't understand. Like I heard this one nigga out here, he said that he was talking to some other guy, and I was in a store or some shit, and the guy was like, oh, it's 300,000. So I'm guessing that's how much the hit is worth. You know, just like when I was in Denver, I heard this white lady, she was talking to this guy, and she was like, yeah, high risk, high reward, you know. So motherfuckers wouldn't be doing all this shit if they ain't gonna get paid. So I'm guessing they gonna pay like 300,000. That's how much the hit is for me, if they could get it done. You know, so the motherfuckers ain't gonna use 30 motherfuckers. Cause if you use 30 motherfuckers to do a hit for 300,000, you know, you gotta split it 30 ways. That's 10,000. That ain't no shit, you know. So these motherfuckers, they got just a bunch of mercenaries, and little groups of 2s and groups of 3s, and so they can split the money. But these Mexicans, you know, they'll have them in groups of 10s, like the whole family, and these East Indians that have them in groups of 20 and shit like that, you know. And as far as like how they gonna pay them, it's just some little underhanded, little grant, little underhanded way, you know. They ain't gonna just pay them outright in cash, you know. But they can give them little credits here and there, get a loan from a bank or some shit like that for a business, some little bullshit, you know. They could just cover it up easy. So that's how these spies are, man. It's like I said, I've been dealing with this shit for the past, since I was in Phoenix. That's when it was like obvious to me, where I could hear them talking and all this shit. I just, like I said, I know how they are, man. Everywhere I go, they follow me all loud. Some be smiling at me, want to shake my hand, all this bullshit. You know, so I just, after a while, dealing with this shit for years, I just, all of a sudden this shit just came together, just made sense, you know. And I'm not even talking about every little thing. It's a bunch of other little shit I could talk about, but I'm just trying to like simplify it, get like the big picture, man, you know. And most people are like, oh no, you just making that shit up. You think you're more important than all than you are. Man, I've been dealing with this shit for years, man. And it's all in my face. Motherfuckers all happy and excited and angry. They just make it so motherfucking obvious. Like after a while, it's like, goddamn, you know, I don't want to be bothered with this shit. You know, I don't even want to talk about this shit. I'd rather be buying some pussy fucking around right now, you know. But this is just the shit I have to deal with constantly for the past couple years or whatever. And it gave me insight into how like the little spy network works, you know. It's interesting, but I really don't give a fuck about it, you know. But if it's just in my face all the time and ain't nobody talking about it, you know, I gotta mention this shit. You know, it's part of my life, you know. Just shit that I dealt with, you know. And the only reason I'm mentioning this shit just to be genuine, not to be disingenuous, you know. Because if I just talk about, yeah, I'm about pussy and travel different cities and fuck with hoes, that sounds cute, you know, but it's not all gravy, you know. You gotta deal with it's little bullshit. Like with Casanova, he talked about, you know, he went all these countries, Spain, Italy, and all over Europe. But even in his book, he mentioned in Spain where they kicked him out the country, you know. And he talked a little bit about Spain, how they act funny. Like they got, Spain, they're known for having like a corrupt government and all that shit. Even today, you know. But back then, you know, you had, you know, the monarch, the king and the monarchy and all that shit. So they was on a lot of bullshit. But Casanova, he talked about that, you know. So I'm basing my shit off Casanova, man. That's the best biography I done read in my life. I don't think anybody ever gonna write some shit, you know, to top that, you know. People still talking about him today, and he wrote that shit a couple hundred years ago. So this little shit I gotta deal with, man. And you see now it ain't nobody out here, you know. But if I was just out here listening to The Economist or a book, you'll see people out here and they'll listen, because they be lying to these motherfuckers, you know. Not only do they lie about me, they lie to other motherfuckers about me. So they just lie to this one person, lie to this other person, and then once somebody figure out they bullshit, they just kill them or beat them up and get them out the way. I remember when I was at when I first came in Hawaii, I still go to the library, and they would have all these fucking tents outside the library. Anybody in Hawaii know what I'm talking about. All these tents with these so-called homeless people, downtown, right, right in front of the damn Bishop Museum and the library right there. I noticed this white guy, he always be there when I come. He'll wear this hat, veteran hat or whatever. And then all of a sudden one day he had a black eye. Now, some people might say, oh, it's just because he got in a fight with one of them other homeless people out there or some shit. Man, that's bullshit. I know he was a spy, so he probably called out that little bullshit, and the motherfucker got mad and hit him or beat him up or some shit. So the point I'm trying to make is, even with all these spies, they got following me around. Some of them are honest, and they'll call out the little bullshit, like, yeah, it's some bullshit, Like when I was in Phoenix and the Brazilian guy told him, like, yeah, it's some bullshit. The fuck is this, But it's whoever is in charge of this little investigation or whatever the fuck you want to call it. He gonna just find whoever gonna go along with this shit, Like, these motherfuckers, like, angry, They, like, violent, Same thing with, like, the Proud Boys, how they raided, the Capitol in Washington. People in Michigan know they tried to kill the governor. They planned to hit on the governor of Michigan, So if these crazy white motherfuckers try to do a hit on the goddamn governor of Michigan or raid the Capitol, why the fuck they wouldn't try and kill me, And like I said, I heard these motherfuckers talk, I say all type of little crazy, little silly ass shit about me, They just be all excited and shit. So it's obvious they've been doing this for a while. They ain't just start yesterday with me, but they used to dealing with little ghetto niggas in the hood and shit, And it's usually easy. They ain't got to do all this little extra shit they doing with me. So they are anxious and upset. They got to do some work, So motherfuckers mad. Then you got people calling them out on their bullshit within their own organization, So it's like, it's an ugly situation, man. That's why I think they changed that law in Florida to where anybody could buy a gun. Because, man, after this shit, they gonna kill a lot of these motherfuckers. Because after the job is over with, they not gonna stay here in Hawaii. They gonna go back to Florida or wherever the fuck in the South. And they gonna kill a lot of the motherfuckers. This is what I think is going on. They know the people who was fucking around and fucked up and did little silly ass, little stupid shit with this job they're supposed to be doing on me. But they still got a use for them. So they're like, okay, this guy over here is an idiot. But they're not going to take him out just yet. They're going to wait till the job is done. And then once all these motherfuckers say they brought from Florida, these old silly-ass, dumb-ass country motherfuckers, they gonna take them out or send them back home or whatever. They gonna find a way to deal with them, And it's easy to do that shit in Florida. Florida, you can just shoot somebody in the middle of the motherfucking street, And the cops will turn a blind eye and they'll say they can't find the motherfucker and all, But here in Hawaii, it's like a little island where everybody talks and knows what's going on, It's for public perception. Even when I was in the Army, man, I remember, like when I got out in 2014, a lot of people was getting kicked out the Army. Because I used to read the Army Times, the news and shit, so I knew what was going on. There's a lot of people getting kicked out for bad behavior, getting a dishonorable discharge and shit like that. See, when they do that in the mainland in Texas and throughout the mainland and shit, when they kick you out, they just kick you out. Don't give you no money, no benefits, nothing, right? But see here in Hawaii, if they was to kick somebody out with no benefits, the motherfucker would be stuck here. And that would be bad for public perception, right? It'd be like, okay, why is all these motherfuckers getting kicked out the army and being homeless in the middle of the street out here in Hawaii? Because people talk, it's a small little island, right? So they want you to go home when they kick you out of Hawaii. If they do it in the mainland, Texas or Tennessee or some shit, they just kick you out and don't give you shit, and you could take a bus to get back home, But here, you're on an island, so you need money to fly and move your shit. But they're not gonna do that for you if you don't get no good honorable discharge or a good discharge or whatever. So here, I noticed that, like with me and other people too, that I was getting kicked out, like we would get the honorable discharges because they didn't want us to be here stuck on a motherfucking island and not have money to get a plane ticket and send all our shit back home and all that. You can't have a bunch of motherfuckers just out here. And, it'll be bad for public perception. Like, why is all these veterans, just stuck out here, getting in trouble, get kicked out, and just, So that's why they get people here when they get kicked out of honorable, unless they like higher rank where they know you got the money to move in. But lower rank, they'll just let it slide and give you the little money and shit. So that's what they did with me, And it's funny now I'm back out here and I ain't staying nowhere now and shit. I would, but I just gotta find the right spot, And then other places I be trying to go, they be calling the place and tell them not to rent it to me. I called a few places and they'll be like, oh, they don't have any available open. And what these spies do, they'll say some bullshit like, oh, why is he out here and not in no spot? But they ain't gonna tell them that motherfucker calling the places telling them not to rent me no spot. They've been doing that shit for years, but even up to this day, Master P talked about this too, man. When he was in New Orleans, and then around the time when Snoop joined No Limit, and he had bought a bunch of houses, all next to each other in a gated community, whatever. And then the people called the bank. Some white people called the bank, told them not to give Master P the loan for the house. And then the bank told him, yeah, he paying cash. He can't stop him buying the house. He ain't taking no loan from the bank. He just bought all them houses straight out cash. Master P was buying a bunch of people's houses. Like when somebody joined No Limit, he'll buy him a house and a car and have them set up, He was doing that for everybody on No Limit Records. Buy him a house and a car so they at least have somewhere to stay, be comfortable and shit like that, Some white guy that called a bank and told him not to give Master P the loan. And that was in 2000 and whatever year that was, 2004, 2003 or whatever shit, So that's not too long ago, but they still doing the same shit now. When I went to Vegas, I went to an apartment building. This white guy was at the desk. And I gave him the application. He never turned it in to get reviewed and approved. So I went back like a month later and this white lady was at the desk. And then she's like, yeah, here's your application. It never got turned in. Go figure. I didn't get an application, some old white guy. And he didn't turn it in. And then the white lady, she turned it in, So I've been going through this little shit like that, man. I can go on and on, man. When I was in Phoenix, I went to the gas station, asked for some cigarette, and the white guy was like, "Oh, we ain't got it." Then the white lady that worked there, she went back and looked in the cabinet and grabbed the cigarettes I wanted, you know. But the white guy, he was like just acting stupid. But the white lady, so I've been going through this shit, man, where people trying to give me a hard time and play stupid, but then it'd be somebody else there and they just, you know, do whatever need to be done, you know. So I've been going through little shit like this over and over and over throughout the years, man. But like I said, it really don't concern me, man. I'm not really giving a fuck about all this shit. I just want to buy some pussy and not be bothered, you know. But everywhere I go, these motherfuckers follow me. You know, I can go to another country right now and it'll be some people following me around and all that shit. You know, it don't matter where I go. But at least here I know people here ain't stupid and they ain't just with all that extra bullshit. Like if I was to go in the States, mainland, you know, they'd be doing all type of little extra bullshit. Even this white lady, man, when I was here, this little white hoe I was buying pussy from, even she admitted to me. She was like, yeah, black people, y'all get treated better here than the mainland, you know. Even she had to admit that, you know. Any nigga that's been here know what I'm talking about. So, see, that's it. I forgot what the whole point of me talking about all this little shit was for. What point I was trying to make or whatever. I just been on the rant, just talking. Because it's so much little shit like that, man, I could talk about that. It really just don't make no goddamn sense, man. I try and make sense of it, but it just don't, you know. Just a bunch of little bullshit I gotta deal with, you know. But overall, I ain't tripping, man. I still been getting pussy. You know, it'd be nice to have a little spot I could rest up or, you know. But I gotta deal with these motherfuckers. And even if I did have a spot, wherever they'll come in and start fucking with me. Like they do, knock on the door while I'm asleep, and when I leave, go through the room and all this, just do little shit to harass me and fuck with me. That's it, man. Just a little bullshit I gotta deal with. You know, maybe some other nigga gonna have to deal with this shit or undealt with this shit before. You know, but I don't know, any nigga that's getting money and getting a lot of white pussy, you gonna have to deal with some bullshit from white guys, because they gonna be mad that you getting pussy and getting money. The same thing with Jack Johnson. He had to deal with it back in the 1930s when he was boxing. Everybody got to deal with this shit, man. It's funny, I was thinking about Jamie Foxx, and it's like I guess you could say a conspiracy, but I can't prove this shit. But it's funny, I seen a video right before Jamie Foxx went to the hospital. He was in France, and he was just partying and had all these white girls around, these white French women. And all of a sudden, this nigga in the hospital, you know. So, I have to go in detail, man. It's well documented how white guys hate niggas that be getting white pussy, you know. I can go on and on. Different people off the top of my head I can name where something happened to them because it was after they was fucking with some white lady, whether it was they died or went to jail or some bullshit, you know. So me, I've been fucking with white hoes, whatever. So now I gotta deal with little shit, you know, motherfuckers mad or whatever the fuck they want to call it at me. But it's funny, man. Like with the hoes, the strippers, at least they still fuck with me, you know. It's like they don't even give a fuck what these white guys talking about. It's like they just lost all their credibility, you know, or at least like white ladies would be scared, you know, and some of them still are, you know, but I'm talking about like specifically like the prostitutes and the strippers. They really ain't worried about all that little bullshit. What these guys saying, whatever the fuck they be saying and threatening all that bullshit. And I'm not just making this shit up off of circumstances. Like I said, I heard these motherfuckers talk, man. They say all type of wild, I thought I used to talk wild and say all type of little bullshit, man. These motherfuckers be talking all type of little crazy shit, you know, and be all excited about it and shit, man. It's fun, you know. That's it.